We are starting the meeting of the Accountability Committee. We apologize for getting started a little bit late. I'm going to go ahead and start with roll call. Commissioner Garrett Ferguson, present. And I, Commissioner Benito, am present. Commissioner Chura is unable to join us today. So the
ignore
agenda,
me. I like to be recognized.
So we
Commissioner Benito.
We are starting by.
Commissioner Benito.
We
need to
will be
recognize
starting.
Everybody at the table.
We will be starting.
Commissioner Benito, you are violating.
We will be starting by adopting.
And I just want to say for the record.
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion to adopt.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. So the first item on the agenda is public comment. And
are you gonna let me speak during public comments as you're disallowing me to speak as a commissioner?
Would you? Well, I mean, I'm fine with you speaking during public comment. Do you have a public comment you'd like to make?
I will also speak during other
things.
So
no, you can either speak during public comment. Okay. So it sounds like you are not going to be acting as a member of the public, and so you can
so
either.
Then I will act as a commissioner, and I'm allowed to speak at the table. Are you going to? Allow me to speak at the table?
So you are welcome, as has been discussed. You are welcome to speak.
I don't care what you have discussed,
okay.
Commissioner Benito.
Which just says that this meeting of the Cleveland Community Police Commission is a lawful meeting under section 605.04 of the codified ordinances. No person with purpose to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting shall do any act which substantially obstructs or interferes with the due conduct of such meeting, procession, or gathering. Members of the public and the commission are invited to speak only under the rules set by this commission. Speaking out of turn in violation of the rules of this commission interferes with the due conduct of this lawful meeting and may constitute a violation of section 605.04. The penalty for violating section 605.04 is a misdemeanor of the fourth degree.
Commissioner Benito.
So moving. So
I have to note,
Commissioner Wong, you have two choices.
I don't have any. You can't give me choices.
Okay. So
moving
on to the next item on the agenda. So the next item on the agenda is to give an update on the evidentiary manual and our first case. So as people may have seen in the last full commission meeting, there was an amended draft of the evidentiary manual that was sent to the full commission. It was voted down, and so now the previous draft that the full commission approved of the evidentiary manual has been sent to the DOJ, and we are waiting for feedback from the DOJ before we schedule our first evidentiary hearing. So that is still very much in process, but in order to hold the hearing, we do need to have the DOJ's feedback on that. Bless you. On that.
Can be recognized.
So then the next item on the
You're not following the rules of the commission by not recognizing
the next item on the agenda is the review of discipline letters for consideration. So we have two discipline letters that were sent to the commission. We received all the disposition letters that the CDP sends out to officers. And we have identified two for us to discuss on whether we would like to.
I'd like to strike that from the record.
And so,
Commissioner Benito, you are giving false.
You are out of order.
I don't care if I'm out of order.
I know,
these letters
you are
selected by.
Okay, I call this meeting to order. Please refrain from disrupting this lawful meeting. Speaking out of turn in violation of the rules of this commission evidences your intent to interfere with the due conduct of this meeting. This is a warning that such activity may constitute a violation of the codified ordinances and must stop. So moving on to the next item on the agenda. So we have two disposition letters that we are. So we have two disposition letters that we are discussing. And what we, I have sent them to Commissioner Chura, and I did ask him for his feedback, and he did send it, so I will share that. But I am opening discussion again. I want to make clear that when we're looking at these disposition letters, we are not making comments on the merits of the discipline, on the merits of the case. We don't have that information yet. We are looking at these letters to determine, do the facts laid out in the letter make us think that a further review of this case would be useful. So the first case, we'll start with the disposition letter from April 12th, 2024, Sergeant Antoine Wells. And I did get a message from Commissioner Chura, who said that he just wanted to share that he thought it was a good idea for both of these cases for us to request case files so that we can look into the facts more carefully to make a determination at that point. And then also just to clarify for the public, so what we're doing at this point is looking at potential cases that we can request a case file on. Then once we request a case file, a case report will be generated by the CPC staff, and then in the accountability committee, we will review that case report, and then we will make a decision either to dismiss the case, in which we would send that to the full commission to approve our dismissal, or what would happen is we would then approve to have an evidentiary hearing, and we would start the process for getting that scheduled. So I'll open the floor for Sergeant Antoine Wells. Do you have any thoughts?
Commissioner Benito,
the question of whether we should select
when it comes
request
to
of case file?
So when it comes to Sergeant Antoine Wells, I just would like to move this to a vote. So you and me can vote for that. Thank you.
That's great.
Sounds great. So so I think you want to move to a vote to request the case file?
Yes, please.
Great. I'll second that motion. So we'll move to the vote, or any discussion?
Nope.
Okay,
I have something
let's
to
move
say.
to the vote.
Would you
So
like to recognize me? No?
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson,
Aye.
and I, Commissioner Benito, vote aye. So moving to the second case, we
Why
have
don't you keep
the
arrogantly laughing
disposition letter
because
from April
you're in
24th.
on it.
And this is in regards to Patrol Officer Todd Kilbane, and so this case, similar thing, Commissioner Chura thought it would be a good idea for us to select the case file so that we can look more into it. I also think that is a good idea. Do you have any thoughts?
I have a question, but I do
Yeah.
want to move it to a vote, so I'll wait until it's like second, and then my question can be asked.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we, as the committee, make a request to receive the case file and have a case report done on this case.
I can I have one clarifying question?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you said you wanted to second it first and then go.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
So you second? Do I have a
Oh, yes, second.
Okay, great. Okay. Now, open for discussion.
So the only question, the person who prepared this is Executive Director Goodrich.
The what?
Who is? Oh, no one. Okay, so I guess.
These are cases that we are looking through the case files, the disposition letters of,
Okay.
and then we can decide, we can identify cases from the disposition letters that we receive each month, and then we can say, one of the things that's on the agenda for later, if we're able to do it, is to discuss a process for how we want to look through these disposition letters in a kind of systemic way, and how we divide up that work as a committee.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the only question I was a little bit confused about was the Medina police issue. So was that secondary employment or was that volunteer? Or it's just not clear? Because I was like, I can't tell from the deposition. That was my only question.
So the way that I read it, and I might be incorrect, is that that he lived over there and it was a case, or either that or the complainant lived in that area.
So it was like he's off duty, he lives in the area, and it was a person.
My understanding is that and again, we don't have a lot of information.
Okay.
I don't
But
think you should be
it's
discussing any elements of the case before you have the
Okay,
case
so
filed.
anyway, I think that, yeah, it's not clear. So
Well,
that
I
would
still
be a
will move it to open, but that
Yeah.
was just the only clarifying question I had. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
So, yeah, that would be information that will be easier for us to understand once we have the full case file.
Well, I move to have
You've
the.
already-
Oh,
you've
we already did it. Oh, okay. Well, I vote aye.
Okay, I also vote aye. Okay, so both of those cases I'll send an email to Executive Director Goodrich officially requesting the case files and requesting that a report be done on those two cases, so that then we can come back to the accountability committee and have a discussion on whether we should the case should either be dismissed or whether it should dismiss to the full commission, or whether we should schedule an evidentiary hearing. So
What's next on the agenda?
great. So the next thing on the agenda is the manual of rules legal questions. So we did receive a set of legal questions on the manual of rules, and but as per our June meeting, the manual of rules and the corrective action guidance are going to be primarily handled by the policy committee, which is you and I are both on. And Jim is also going to be talking with committee chair Commissioner Van Leer, and also
So like a combined meeting?
Yeah, we're gonna do a joint accountability and policy committee meeting, and so more information will be to come. But right now, it is tentatively scheduled for the August August policy committee meeting, which is August 21st. So yes, but more information to come will be sent out on that. So the next item on the agenda is a process for reviewing ongoing discipline. So each month we receive disposition letters that are sent out to that are given to us through the SharePoint drive, and we have access to all the letters. What I would like for us to do is start kind of a systematic review where we once a month look through all these letters. I think that could either be done. It could be something that the chair does with the executive director. It could be something that every month a different member of the committee sits down with staff and looks through it and says, hey, we want to flag these cases, send them to the full committee for a review of the meeting. So there's a lot of different ways that we could do it. It could be that we have a second, we have a work group that specifically reach through these, that specifically looks through these letters. Then community members could potentially, we would want to be very careful that, we're not discussing merits of the cases, but just basically kind of determining, do we think that these cases could be flagged for us to look at. So of some of those potential options, are there any thoughts on that?
So I think having a work group with no less than 2 commissioners present on that. So even if you're not from accountability, I would just like at least 2 commissioners present, and maybe if we can define the term, because I know the bigger something is, the harder. So I would say no more than 5 or 6 people. The majority can be from the community. So it could be 3 and 3, it could be 2 and 4, but just no less than 2. And the rest would be community and limited to 5 or 6 people.
Is this your favorite place to go?
Is it unlocked? No.
That's why they have to check, otherwise he will be locked out himself.
So I like that idea. I like, I think we would want to make sure that we develop some very specific kind of protocols around that. I think that
The protocol should go through rules committee, right?
I think it needs to be like an official rule.
Okay.
Because it's just kind of our internal.
No, I mean like the process, like the guideline. I would say guidelines.
Like we don't have to go to the rules committee if we create a work group. It would be like the rules committee that when the budgeting grants create a process for something, they don't go to the rules committee.
Gotcha. Okay. I wasn't thinking about the word. I was thinking about the guidelines, but you're right.
Again, so
thank you.
That is inaccurate.
So
the rule for the budget and grants committee has to
moving on.
go
So
through rules.
I like the idea
stop
of
making inaccurate
a work
statements on
group.
record.
So I think that one thing that we can do is between now and the August accountability committee meeting, we can kind of work, maybe myself and the co-chairs can work on kind of a draft process of what that could look like, and like a kind of draft proposal of the work group, and then we could discuss it, and that could be our main topic for the August accountability committee meeting.
And not to put more work on you guys, because that'll help, but during that meeting, just to kind of streamline process, is it okay if I come up with like a mock entrance form that community can fill out?
Sure.
And so I can give that to you. You guys can still review it. And so if you guys agree with it or want to change it, by the time we have our next accountability committee, we'll have like an actual full draft of everything.
Sounds great.
Okay.
That sounds great.
Malachi?
You can't unlock it.
So myself and the co-chairs, and I will make sure to, keep you and Jim in the loop and provide opportunity for you to provide feedback. And also that's what we'll do in the August accountability committee meeting, is talk about that. I can, also if we're concerned about like if the process needs to, if we're creating an internal process, if it needs to go to rules, I can alert the rules committee and ask them to make sure that we're doing everything above board.
Just to make sure it doesn't conflict with any of our previous rules. So like, hey, can you guys just more so overlook this? Make sure it's not in conflict with anything that you guys have set forth, and we can just move forward.
Yeah. So I'll check in with them and then report back. But we'll kind of create a draft process that then we will discuss in our next accountability committee meeting, which will be Tuesday, August 13th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And then I think we can get that process going. I like the idea of it being, 2 commissioners. I think that what we would do is I would just want to make them all public meetings.
Yes.
That way, if there is a quorum of the accountability committee, like if 2 of us show up, then it's fine because it's still a public meeting. And we wouldn't have like the group vote on anything. So
Absolutely, they would have to bring it back to the full committee.
yeah.
I personally think that unless it's, I guess, a one-on-one meeting and it's not a quorum,
Yeah.
most of our meetings need to be public. All work group meetings, personally.
Yeah. So I think that is a good plan for that. So then that conversation will be continued. Will be continued at that time. So, is there any other business that needs to be addressed?
Nope.
Okay. Is there public comment?
Yes.
Great. Take it away.
You want the-
Mike's over here.
There you go.
Oi. My goodness.
Would you like to make a public comment?
All right, public comments.
Okay, you can make a.
I have to apologize. As a community member, I came in meeting a little bit late. Sorry, I came from Solon with the Adams Board's meeting. Sorry about that. However, from what I have heard here, the discussion has been too smooth. It's not really good to have a meeting. Always everybody agrees with everybody else as a one-sided. The reason we have 13 commissioners to begin with is because we want different opinions so we can cover different angles. The other thing I heard the term work group too many times. Now I have to wonder, I have to ask questions. Actually, there has been 2 work groups I have been members under accountability committees. But it's kind of strange to me that I have not been informed to have a meetings. However, during the committee meeting, the public meeting, the monthly public meeting, we have been hearing accountability committee has progress. So I really don't understand. I mean, either I was fired without a reason, or did we actually have any meetings which I did not know about? So this really raised the questions. If that's why I totally agree, work group meetings should also be published on the calendar, live streamed, so we have a record, and that will be also good when we need to go back to check what we actually talked about. If some people has a selected memory loss or whatever, we will still have a way to track what actually has been said and done. Yes, we do have a minutes, but the minutes is not supposed to be a transcription, each word by word, each sentence by sentence, like that. So sometimes devils are in the details. So it will be very good. I definitely agree. We should have them as a public meetings. Quorum or no quorum, that's a different issue because it's work group to begin with. However, having a good record, so when we look back, we know exactly what we said, what we agreed upon and we disagreed upon. That will actually help us to have a more productive meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lou. And then Commissioner Wong, if you want to make a public comment, you are able to make a 3-minute public comment.
Okay, I'm being forced right now to make a public comment because as you saw during this meeting, Commissioner Benito, who is part of a cabal of commissioners that have retaliated against me for criticizing the work of the commission, moved to remove me from committees. I'm going to first comment on the problems that were not discussed with the actual materials that were discussed in this meeting. We mentioned Mr. Antoine Tolbert's case. There are problems with the records request that I tried to cure 6 times that the commission failed to do. And we see that now in the records request that there appears to be items missing. And this, again, is a problem that Mr. Goodrick created because he insisted on doing the records request in a personal and arbitrary fashion. There are issues with the 2 cases that we're seeing because Mr. Goodrick sent it to me when I was still the official accountability chair. And I asked him, how did you select these cases? And he said that he read them from the he went through them found them through looking at the disposition letters. Now we hear a different story in accountability that Ms. Benito just said that we, the accountability committee, look through them. That is not true. We've never had a process. The only work group in accountability that has ever looked at these disposition letters is the Brady Giglio Committee, which under Commissioner Benito's leadership has not met for nearly 2 months. The discipline work group likewise. When it was under my leadership, we would meet on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So it is patently untrue that Commissioner Benito is actually moving the work forward for these committees. And those are 2 of the most important work groups, especially Brady Giglio. The problem with the executive director selecting these discipline cases are obvious. The community voted for independent commissioners to do the work, not the interim executive director. And it allows the interim executive director, who is a civil servant and employee of the city and more prone to political manipulation, to control the commission. Third, it is a completely arbitrary process. I would like to know why the interim executive director selected these cases from the thousands of cases or hundreds of disposition letters that we received. And then what I would like the public to know, because I've not commented on the many articles that have been misleading the public, when I tried to attend the last accountability meeting, which had not started, the commissioners, including co-chair John Adams, Jason Goodrick, the interim executive director, Ryan Walker, the senior policy analyst, Commissioner Benito, and also our lawyer, Martin Belat, instead of holding the meeting, they misused police resources for 45 minutes and called 4 police officers for me allegedly disrupting a meeting that never even began. And this is a problematic.
Thank you so much for
So
the
the public,
comment,
I'm
Commissioner
sure, will know.
Wong.
Thank you.
With that, unless there is any other items, we will adjourn the meeting. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Aye. Awesome. Thank you.
What a short meeting.